Jeff and I are actually talking about it.
Oh, really? Hey.
Here we are. Welcome to Reels in the Round with Ronan and Kirk. I am Kirk.
And I'm Ronan, as always.
As always. Kick it off for us, sir.
I mean, you kind of did, but
I did,
hey.
but like I'm the guy with the finger on the football. You kick. Go.
Okay, so today we watched Lords of Dogtown.
Good God, man.
And Kirk, before we begin, what day is today?
So this is part of the reason we watched Lords of Dogtown. Today is 420.
Yeah.
So we watched a show about Venice Beach pot smokers. Well, skaters, but really fine distinction. 1970s skaters in Venice Beach. For the record, anyone in Venice Beach at any time in history. I used to live and spend a lot of time in Venice Beach, and it's funny. Have you ever been to Los Angeles?
I don't think so. I've been to California, but I don't think LA.
If you don't think so, that means no. So I say with all love and respect to anyone who may listen to this either currently or in the future or whatever, if you're standing on Venice Beach where Muscle Beach is in the Venice Boardwalk and you start walking to Santa Monica, that's not very far. It's a quarter mile. I mean, it's not very far. Walking from Venice Beach to Santa Monica Pier, they touch.
Yeah.
But you know when you've crossed from one to the other by the smell of it. And I'm not saying the Venice Beach smells bad. Venice Beach smells like weed and patchouli, frankly. It smells very, very earthy, and it smells very earthy.
I mean, to be fair,
and you get to Santa Monica, and it smells like soap and really expensive body wash. So there's a visual change as well, but you could do it blindfolded. Anyway, so Lords of Dogtown is a movie about the 1970s, the literal rise of skateboarding as an art and sport. We're talking pre-Tony Hawk. Like one of these guys is like
the founder.
Yeah, Staci Peralta. More or less discovered Tony Hawk. This is about the original, the OGs of skating. And Dogtown is what Venice Beach was called because it was just the ghetto by the bay. It was just gross. And so Lords of Dogtown, or the Z-Boys in Dogtown, that was the name of these people. And today we watched a movie that I love. It came out in 2005. I saw it in the theaters. And we're going to get deep into it.
Okay.
But that is what we started. And I thought, what better movie coming off Gleaming the Cube last week, a 1988 movie, to watch on this 420 pot smokers day.
I mean, I didn't even think you thought this far into it, but hey.
No, it's a pot smoking holiday. And therefore we watched The Lords of Dogtown because synergy. Go ahead.
Anyways, before we get too caught up into that, I want to circle back and talk about a topic we touched on last week.
Okay.
Family-friendly movies.
Okay. You're going to let me go on 4 minutes on smoking weed, and then you're going to drop that we're going to start with family-friendly movies? Way to set me up to look like a jackass. Okay. Let's talk about family-friendly films. I don't smoke weed.
Anyways, so the movie I watched over the weekend, I think would classify as family-friendly. Ready Player One.
Okay, so first off, absolutely, Ready Player One would classify as family-friendly. Second off, it's a terrible film. Third off, and I hate people that say what I'm about to say. The phrase that escapes at my lips next gets nothing but derision from me every time I hear it.
Okay.
The book is so much better.
I haven't read the book.
So often, I will read a book and I'll watch a movie and I'll be like, oh yeah, I liked the book, but the book and the movie are completely different. Like it's not fair to compare them.
Yep.
Harry Potter, good movies. Harry Potter, good books. It is not fair. I really, really like I Am Legend, the movie with Will Smith. I really like a Mega Man with Charlton Heston, and I really, really like the book I Am Legend. I've seen both movies, and they are all three remarkably different, and I am happy with that. Ready Player One might be a masterpiece as far as writing.
Right, yeah.
And they took all that was good about it out. It was the shell of the story. And the thing is that lots of times I'm the guy that goes, oh, you kind of have to, but they didn't. The things they changed were unnecessary and stupid. And
I see.
Don't get me wrong. I liked the movie just fine, but it was the shell of a masterpiece of a book.
I see.
For the record, Get it on Audible. It's narrated by Will Wheaton, which is really funny when they talk about Mayor Will Wheaton being voiced by Will Wheaton. It's cinematic chef's kiss. But yes, Ready Player One, absolutely a family-friendly film. But just so we're clear, go back and watch last week's episode to kind of like get where I'm going with this. The entire concept is it's about 80s films. And my entire thing last week is that 80s films was the last time this was a thing.
I mean, there were like some video game characters that
all from the 80s.
No, because there's some like Overwatch characters.
Those aren't in the book.
Oh, okay.
The entirety that was done visually for modern audience. The entirety of the book was about that it was 2054 or something like that. And the guy that created the Oasis was in love with 70s, 80s, and 90s pop culture. So it literally was, that book is my rant from last week about why don't they make them like they used to? Like, that's what it was.
I see. Okay.
But it's an okay movie. I appreciated it just fine. Meh. Read the book.
Okay. And then just after the show, I was thinking anything with The Rock, like Jumanji.
No,
Tooth Fairy,
Walking Tall. The Rock has done a fair amount of PG-13 and R-rated pseudo action film. No, absolutely. There are films out there that are skirting at this. My family, Jumanji and the new Jumanji. I didn't like Jumanji 2. Like, I liked the first new Jumanji. I did not like the second new Jumanji. Yeah.
Or you're not counting those because they're remakes.
Sure. Let's go with that. I'll take credit for that.
Okay. Anyways, Lords of Dogtown.
So let's actually talk about today's episode now.
Yes.
Lords of Dogtown. Happy 420. Jerk. Hit me.
Catherine Hardwicke.
Yep.
Which is another fun last name to say.
Yep.
Twilight 13, Miss Bala, and Miss You Already.
Now, I think you've done something. I want to make sure of something.
Okay.
I don't not trust you. I just have no reason to trust you. Hold on. Continue. Keep talking about these people.
And then the writer is Staci Peralta. Peralta, yes.
One of the characters in the movie whose name we heard 1,000 times.
Yes.
Staci Peralta. Yes, he was one of the characters in the movie.
He does a lot of skateboarding movies, as you would have guessed. He is a skateboarder, which I didn't know beforehand.
Yep. One of the inventors of the sport. Yes.
And then he does a lot of documentaries as well.
Yep. Absolutely.
So, Crips and Bloods, Made in America, Dogtown and Z-Boys, which is actually the documentary.
It's the documentary on the same subject
off of this movie. Yep. And then director of Skate TV.
Nice. Nice. So,
okay.
There it is. So let's start broad.
Okay.
How many Catherine Hardwicke films have you seen other than this one?
This would be the only one.
You haven't seen Twilight? It's a cinematic masterpiece.
I don't think so, no.
Okay, so first off, I'm kidding. It's garbage.
Okay.
It's hot, wet garbage.
Isn't it like a teenager's or like
you don't even know what Twilight is?
What?
Really?
Isn't it like the werewolf? Like the teen werewolf movie? Or no, that's a TV show, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
That would be Teen Wolf that you're thinking of.
Oh. I thought there was a TV show called Twilight.
No.
Oh. Is it vampires?
Yeah.
Okay.
And a werewolf, for the record.
Okay.
You weren't wrong. But Twilight was so foundational to my generation that the fact that you are kind of sort of pseudo unsure of what Twilight is gives me hope for your entire generation.
You're welcome. My generation.
Yeah. Wow. Yes. Okay. Okay. So my last show was called Kirk and Corey.
Yeah.
And Corey was 10 years younger than me. Exactly. Almost to the month.
Yeah.
And we played off that a lot, that I was a decade older. You are 10 years younger than her, almost to the month.
Yep. And
I will say the difference between 10 years younger than me and 20 years younger than me is startling. It's a startling difference. Lou Daniel is actually watching right now. He was one of our faithful viewers of Kirk and Corey Nerdy News at Noon, and he said that he watched Dazed and Confused today in honor of 420. But yes, he was one of Kirk and Corey's most loyal viewers.
I see.
And I will say I did a show with her every day for a year,
Mhm.
and it was fun. That 10-year difference, a 20-year difference, it's a little startling. It's a little different. But continue. So Miss Bala is actually kind of okay. You should check that out. So let's talk about Staci Peralta. He's one of the characters of the movie.
Yeah.
He's also in the movie very briefly.
Oh, I'm getting a hold of myself.
He's also in the movie very briefly, and then he also wrote the movie.
Yeah.
Let's go next slide.
And funny enough, I didn't know the writer and the character Staci was meant to be the same person
until I mentioned it.
Yeah, until like after the film when you said that he became a filmmaker.
So I'm going to do these from the bottom up.
Okay.
And there's a reason. This isn't like just. So let's talk about Rebecca De Mornay.
And since I know you're going to ask, this would be the only one as well.
Have you at least heard of Risky Business?
I do not believe so, no.
Have you heard of Tom Cruise?
Yes.
Okay. We're just going to roll. Ms. De Mornay, you're a vision. I'm sorry. Moving on to Emile Hirsch. What about Emile Hirsch?
Oh, Speed Racer.
Okay.
I've watched that one.
Garbage.
I've signed poster on my wall.
Signed by who?
The directors and writers of Speed Racer.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll have to take a picture and show it to you.
Yeah. Okay.
And then Autopsy of Jane Doe, which is another one I've seen.
Okay. Into the Wild?
I haven't seen that one, no.
Okay. Girl Next Door?
No, isn't that a TV show?
Nope.
No.
Okay. Well, it might be, but it was a movie.
Then no, I haven't seen it.
Is the juice worth the squeeze? Okay. We're going to keep on going up.
Okay.
John Robinson, who played Staci Peralta, who, just so we're clear, is also the writer of this movie.
I understand that now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So we're catching on to this good stuff.
Yeah.
So he was in Transformers.
I've seen that one.
And Elephant.
I haven't seen Elephant, no.
It's a Gus Van Sant film. It's very good. Seraphim Falls.
Nope. Haven't seen it.
Okay. The reason I wanted to go from bottom to top.
Okay.
Tell me about Heath Ledger.
He played Joker in The Death Knight.
In The Death Knight?
Oh, in The Dark Knight.
Yes, he did.
Dark Knight.
He played Sir Ulrich von Liechtenstein in Knight's Tale. He played, I don't know, one of the cowboys in Brokeback Mountain. I have seen it. I just don't remember their names. Jake Gyllenhaal's, of course, the other one. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, he played Dark Knight. He played the Joker in The Dark Knight.
Yep.
He died before that movie. He died before the movie was released. He died on his next film after that was The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, in which he died mid-filming. So that is not his actual last film. His next film was his last film.
I see.
He was awarded an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor posthumously because he absolutely deserved it, and his portrayal of the Joker was incredible. It didn't hold a candle to Joaquin Phoenix's, but I digress. So that's not the point here. The point is this, and I mean every word of what I'm about to say. Repeat. I say things insane sometimes, like I love the movie I Know Who Killed Me, it's gold, or that Grease 2 is a cinematic masterpiece. I say stupid shit all the time.
You said Twilight was cinematic.
Right, I was kidding. But I want people to not conflate when I'm being funny to when I'm being dead serious.
Okay.
This movie, where Heath Ledger plays Skip, is the greatest acting role of his life. Period. Joker, where I think he was a vision of perfection, other than Joaquin Phoenix, who did it better. I think that Heath Ledger was perfect in Joker, and I think his Joker was a festering pile of crap compared to his performance in this movie. You don't even recognize him. No. He has a false dental piece in his. He moves different. He talks different.
Yep.
He's an alcoholic and he moves and he completely disappears into the role.
He does,
and it's so insane to watch. He plays a strung out American surfer.
Spot on.
And I mean, he does it without, like, what I just did was a parody.
Yeah.
I was being funny. I loved Knight's Tale. I saw it in theaters. I loved Brokeback Mountain. I saw it in theaters. I loved Dark Knight. I saw it in theaters. I loved 10 Things I Hate About You. I saw it 3 times opening weekend. What up? I loved him in every role. Heath Ledger, I was truly a fan. He wasn't that much older than me. He's like 2-3 years older than me. He's roughly my age.
Yeah.
I saw him in this movie in the theaters, and I was utterly blown away. It's one of the reasons I wanted you to watch this movie is that Heath Ledger, may he rest in peace.
Mm-hmm.
This movie got completely missed by so many people. 2005, It's 16 years old now. It got completely missed by so many people. It got completely ignored by people. Heath Ledger deserves the Oscar he got for Dark Knight. He deserves the Oscar, having an Oscar, because he was amazing. I am not kidding when I say that this movie has its flaws. This movie has its goods. This movie is fine. But watching Heath Ledger in this movie, I could watch on loop because it's just, he's a freaking vision.
Yep.
Moving right along.
Okay.
Go.
What shall we talk about first?
It's your show. I mean, I'm just the one that talks.
Camera work. Let's talk about that. Colors.
So the cool thing about this is that this film was shot in 2005, and the first film to be shot, the first full length feature film to be shot, I'm lying, cinematic to be shot on digital was Phantom Menace in 99-2000.
Okay.
This was 6 years later. The 99/2. It was shot in 99.
Okay.
This is 5-6 years later.
Mm-hmm.
This film, when I graduated film school in 2006, and we were still shooting on film in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
My first several movies that I worked on were shot on film. It wasn't until the teens when I started seeing film really, really going away, and the Guardians of the Galaxy and everything shot on the red camera. Like, but truly, that is post me. That didn't happen until I left LA. When I was in LA, 99% of films, unless you were on a Robert Rodriguez film, you were shooting on film.
I see.
So it's important to note a couple of different things.
Yep.
This movie, whether they did it in post-processing or they did it with film stock, I believe they did it with film stock.
Mm-hmm.
They did not use 2005 film stocks. I mean, they used film stocks that they purchased and were made in 2005, but the grain was huge. You could see it. You could see the grain.
That's something I was going to point out.
The yellows and blues were so rich. It looked like an old... See, photography went through stages where the chemicals were processed differently. And in the 70s, if you look at old 70s photos, I have some at my house growing up, they were very yellow and blue because different colors just so this film taking place in the 70s, they used old style film stocks. So even next to its other films in 2005, they were using intentionally antiquated styles to make it look more like not a film about that time, but more a film from that time. And I think that was such a brilliant choice. The colors were rich. It's so fun to look at. Yeah.
And just to compare the colors to something.
Sure.
I was going to compare it to another film that we watched a couple weeks ago, Traffic.
Yes. I can absolutely. So this film was made 4 or 5 years apart.
Yeah.
Both shot on absolute film. Both shot absolutely heavily lighting styled. Steven Soderbergh did a thing called being cross-processed, which I won't get into. This did not. But yeah, I can absolutely see why you would compare this to Traffic. Lots of super saturated colors and stuff,
heavily on the yellows and blues.
Yep. I love it. Okay. So then we talk camera work.
Yep. Which is almost kind of like Traffic 2.
Interesting.
Like the unsteadiness. I mean, in this case, it was more action than anything.
Sure.
But
what do you think that is?
It's a skateboard movie.
No. No. Yes, you're not wrong, but I want to break it down a little bit more intentionally.
Okay.
So Traffic was made in the late 90s, and it had a very shaky style, which was actually trying to more mimic films like TV shows like Cops and other reality shaky cameras. Why would a film taking place in the 70s have done that? There is an answer here.
There's
if anyone would like to answer from the audience, we'll take those as well.
I was going to say, as of right now, nothing comes to mind.
Well, because the 70s, we still saw people with home film cameras, home 8mm. You still saw people like the home video camera didn't exist yet, but home. So there really were old homemade movies back in that day that had kind of that shaky
style.
But also, as you even see them in the movie, this is when the skateboard documentary and the video camera and the film camera off the edge of the skateboard and the GoPro was born. Not literally, it wouldn't be born for 30 years, but it's so interesting. These two films that had a very similar style were actually mimicking very different things. In 99 with Traffic, he was mimicking cops and reality shows.
Yeah.
And in 2005, 5 years later, they were actually replicating a much earlier style that was
like the home theater, or home video,
the old Bolex, like the cameras I have up in the front room. I have a collection of antique cameras up front. I can show you the cameras that they were kind of mimicking, this kind of shaky, because like you saw them jumping in the bowl, in the pools and things like that. They would take cameras and do that. This has been a counterculture since the 70s. I
see. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So what else jumped out at you? Anything else interesting?
Trying to think. Let's see.
We talked about colors and we talked about camera work.
It was really the colors for me, but
we talked about the acting kind of at length.
Yeah.
I think that Emile Hirsch did amazing. Emile Hirsch, for the most part, I see him in these kind of goody roles. Like in The Wild, he was a little bit more rugged, but he wasn't rugged. He was just preppy in the woods.
I guess I will say something that I thought at first was going to happen.
Okay.
Was like going into the film, I thought it was going to be like any Disney or every Disney sports movie where it's going to be like a feel good type of movie. Like, oh, look at these.
Oh, no.
Look at these, like, I don't want to, poor
unfortunate
skateboarders.
Souls. So sad.
And then they're just going to make it big. But, I mean, they kind of did, but it ended badly for them. And they split ways.
I mean, it didn't end, like, with the exception of Sid, who died, it really did kind of, I mean, Emile Hirsch's character, Jay, did go to prison for drug charges. Sid died of brain cancer. Staci Peralta is a famous film writer and director now.
Yeah.
And the other, and Alva went on to be the first world champion. I mean, it's
I was talking about like in the movie.
No, I mean, but the movie is what happened in their lives. Yes, they went through a personal fall apart, but like, again, it was never meant to be a feel-good story. Real life isn't all, any real life story that ends all feel good, probably lying. Probably lying. What else?
Well, at the start, I'm going to have my same run-on joke that I don't know where I got it from.
Okay.
Where it says, this movie is based on true events.
Yes.
Which means it's not true.
Ish, yeah.
But, yeah, so you want to... I mean, you kind of did, but...
Yeah, no, I mean, this would...
History with Kirk, you know?
I will say that the facts of this film, in a lot of ways, do play out.
I mean,
they also don't.
One of the key members wrote it, so...
Yeah. There was a lot of... Alva was in this as well, the real one.
Oh.
All of the main characters, with the exception of Sid, who is dead, were in this somewhere.
They played a role? Okay.
Briefly. They were there.
Like cameos, or?
Yeah. Okay. This film had massive... Even Tony Hawk was in this. All of the people in this movie, there was major buy-in, and this is a counterculture that wasn't going to take kindly to being, Hollywooded around. I'm not saying that it was like some perfect adaptation.
Yeah.
I will say that like films like The Perfect Storm were like, this film is based on actual events. The film is about a boat that leaves at the very beginning and never comes back with no survivors. How the hell do you know what happened on the damn boat?
Very carefully. Very carefully.
All we know is the GPS course, the GPS, and a few errant,
yeah.
But yet we have a 2.5 hour movie of George Clooney and Mark Wahlberg, and all of their interactions on a boat where they both die. Sorry, spoilers. Yeah. So, I like movies based on true things. I like it when they give it their best efforts to be factual. And whereas there's absolutely some creative licenses taken here. Tony Hawk's not really an astronaut, for example.
Yeah.
I think that this film did a really good job of trying very hard to stay within the ethical boundaries of factuality.
Nice. And talk about how this is a skateboard movie. We did watch a skateboard movie last week,
Gleaming the Cube.
Gleaming the Cube.
Also with Tony Hawk.
Yes. But those two movies, totally different.
How?
Well, the obvious, obvious and not obvious
'Kay.
remark. This one is, well, you see skateboards in like 90% of it.
Right.
Like the other 5% is them hooking up with each other, and then the other 5 is surfing.
Yep.
But while the other, or, I mean, there's also, I mean, there's crime, but not heavily based on
Right, no.
crime. It's just like,
Yeah. This film was
probably like a solid
about
2
skateboarding
minutes.
and the culture. The other
Yes.
one used skateboarding to kind of knit together a story that had nothing to do with skateboarding.
Yeah. And what I was going to say is, oh, I'm not a skateboarder.
I'm not a skateboarder.
On your way
I
to-
own a skateboard. That is all we can say.
I mean, you're on your way to
No,
becoming.
I
okay.
own a skateboard. Full stop.
But I'm not a skateboarder. I like both films. I don't know which one. If I had to choose one I liked more than the other, I mean, I probably would have to say Gleaming the Cube.
Really? Holy shit. Okay. Okay.
But it's not because of the skateboard versus non-skateboarding one. I mean, that was a
Gleaming the Cube is terrible. Ronan, it's terrible. That was the entire point. Lords of Dogtown's an amazing movie, and you prefer the... Okay. Continue.
I mean, my style is like, I like the crime and thrillers. Well, this one's like almost a documentary style.
Uh-huh.
It's like a documentary for the family.
Not for the family, but okay.
Well, okay, I'm going to stop myself there.
Continue.
But yeah, I'm like, I had to think about it. It wasn't like I knew straight away which one I liked better. It was a hard toss up.
Okay.
But yeah. So I did like this movie, even though I'm not a skateboarder.
You don't say. Next slide.
Okay. Profits or lack of. Budget was 25 million and it generated 13.4 worldwide.
Yes, no, it is a absolute flop. People lost their job over this. It tanked, which is a travesty. I really liked this movie, for the record. It absolutely tanked. There's some systemic reasons for that, but overall, it was a niche film that stayed true to history, and that makes it less interesting. It ends with the kids playing in a pool. Like it doesn't have. There's no real sex appeal to it. It doesn't end. It just stops. You know,
that is true. Yeah,
and
very much true.
I love the movie because I like that kind of thing, but I will say that no, it did not play well.
Then, unlike last week with Gleaming the Cube, we actually got an award.
Actor of the Year, Heath Ledger, Central Ohio Film Critics Association. Let me tell you, those Central Ohio folks, they run a tough ship. I agree with them wholeheartedly. I'm just saying, damn.
Yeah, like what you were saying with his role.
He really did. I cannot express enough.
Yep.
I don't care that this movie bombed. I don't care that it has some real issues. I love his performance in this. Ratings, this film has a 71. What?
You forgot the nominations for Best Drama, also from.
I don't want to hear about what the Central Ohio Film Critics Association thinks they didn't do well. That's lame.
Okay. Ratings.
55% on IMDb is bullshit.
7.1 IMDb.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right.
Yeah.
71, still bullshit. 55% on Rotten Tomatoes. I've told you there's nothing more worthless than a Rotten Tomatoes rating.
Their audience score was 83, I do believe.
Okay, now that I'll give you. Low B, cool. And a 56% on Metacritic, which again is actually relatively high on Metacritic. No, this film deserves to be in the 80s across the board. This film, low 80s. I'd even be okay with like a 79, not a 71, 7.1. Like, I'd be okay with a 79 to an 84. This film was not like knocked out of the park.
The Holy Grail.
This was, but it is such a good film. It was so true to history. The style and the cinematic, and Catherine Hardwicke, who's a terrible director, did a really good job here. Like, I think that this was I think all three of those numbers are bullshit. I believe it absolutely deserves to be in the low 80s. But that's just me. So, what's next?
What's next? So I have an idea. You had an idea.
Did I?
Yes.
That doesn't sound like me.
Well, your idea was the movie that I mustn't know anything about beforehand.
Oh, Primer. Okay. What was your idea?
Oh, my idea was The Boat.
The Boat?
Yes, The Boat.
The movie is named The Boat.
I do believe so, yes.
Excuse me. The Boat movie. This looks stupid. A lone fisherman encounters a seemingly abandoned yacht in an eerie fog bank whilst trying. No boats were harmed in the making of this film. No boats were harmed in the making of this film.
Is that what you want to hear?
That's actually pretty funny.
Can't say the same about the movie Titanic.
Wow, Ronan. Wow. Don't come at my generation like that. You wouldn't even know. You wouldn't be born for 8 years after that movie was made.
It's a solo cast. And you even wrote it too, I do believe.
Nope.
Or did
Yep. He was one of the writers.
Yep.
Okay, and the director was the other one.
Yeah. Brothers, I do believe, right?
They have different last names. Oh, no, yes, they are. I'm sorry. Nope, yep, absolutely. You are correct, sir.
Yep.
So let's do Primer.
Okay.
Because I want to do a series of thrillers.
Okay.
And I think The Boat would belong in that.
Okay.
But let's do Primer next week. Primer. Listen, if you're going to follow along with Primer, there is a remarkably important rule. Do not read anything about it. Do not read a synopsis. Do not watch a trailer. Do not read a review. Do nothing. All you're allowed to know is the movie was made in 2007. It is called Primer. It might be 2006, but I don't think so. It's 2007. It's called Primer. Click on it, watch it, stream it, love it, period.
So basically Fight Club. Got it.
Yeah, like if I will say that someone did this to me, they're like, watch Primer, go in, rent it,
Okay.
pick it up, because rentals there were these stores where you could go in and pick up.
I know what Blockbuster is. Yeah.
It was a
Or
holiday.
Redbox. I know what Redbox too.
So they said, but and they said the same to me, and I was like, okay, that's a little weird. That trust me, and I will say that I watched the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the movie. I then read the back after I'd watched the movie, and the back of it completely ruins the movie. I'm not saying spoilers. I'm saying that it gives theories and gives. They're like, suspenseful, blah blah. And you're like, stop! Like, no, you asked and answered questions I didn't want asked nor answered. So do not read it. Do not watch it. Just click play, watch it, and you don't get to know anything else other than it's super low budget and amazing.
So are you talking about how it's I don't want you to give too much away, but are you saying it's almost like Mother, where it's almost a continuous loop?
It's very much
gave it away.
It's sort of. I can't say much more than that. I will say that it was made by a man with a PhD in theoretical mathematics and not a background in filmmaking, and you can tell. And I mean that as a good thing. Like, it is so masterfully crafted, like a math problem. It's like a really complicated algebra problem that like balances out, like solve for X, and it's just like it's mind numbing but brilliant.
I see.
Awesome.
Can't wait.
So, anything else you want to spring on me? Any other jokes? Any? Often I'm like, okay. You're like, no, Kirk, I forgot to tell you I have marijuana in my pocket. He's never said that.
Nah.
Out loud.
I mean, if you really wanted to hear one, did you hear about the kidnapping?
I'm so afraid right now. No, I did not.
He woke up. Anyways, that's been it for me. I've been Ronan. This has been Kirk. That's been the show. See you guys next week.
Oh my gosh.